A customer brought his Ram 2500 into my shop last year with a turbo that sounded like a blender full of gravel. 67,000 miles on a garage-kept truck that never missed service. But he did one stupid thing every time he pulled his camper up a mountain pass, and it ate his Holset turbo alive. That is what this video is about. 7 habits that Ram owners do every day thinking they are fine, and every single one of them is chewing up your turbo from the inside. Number 1. The hot shutdown. This is the habit that killed my customer's turbo at 67,000 miles. He would tow his fifth-wheel camper through the Appalachian Mountains, pull into the campground after climbing a 6% grade for 20 minutes, park it, kill the engine, and walk away. Picture what is happening inside that Holset turbo when you do that. The turbine wheel is still spinning at over 100,000 RPM when you turn that key off. The oil pump stops, the coolant stops circulating. The turbo does not care, it keeps spinning. All that residual heat from the exhaust, we are talking north of 1,000 degrees on the turbine side, cooks the oil that sits in the turbo bearing housing. That cooked oil turns into carbon deposits, what engineers call coking. Those deposits scratch the bearings, block oil passages, and over dozens of hot shutdowns, you are grinding your turbo to death from the inside. The fix is embarrassingly simple. Let the truck idle for 2 to 4 minutes after any hard pull. That is it. The oil keeps circulating, the turbo spins down, the heat dissipates. I have seen Cummins turbos last well past 200,000 miles on trucks where the owner does this one thing. I have also seen them fail before 70,000 miles on trucks where the owner does not. But hot shutdowns are only killing your turbo when the engine is off. The next habit does the exact same kind of damage while you are driving, and it is the one that a lot of Ram owners swear is the safe way to treat their truck. Number 2. Never using the exhaust brake. I personally think this one kills more Ram VGT turbos than anything else on this list, and nobody talks about it. The Holset variable geometry turbo on the 6.7 Cummins has a set of movable vanes inside the turbine housing. Those vanes adjust position constantly to control boost pressure. When they are working right, they give you instant throttle response at low RPM and big airflow up top. It is brilliant engineering when it works. The problem is, those vanes live inside a volcano of soot and exhaust gas. If you never exercise them through their full range of motion, the soot cements them in place. This is called stuck turbo syndrome, and it shows up on every 6.7 Cummins from 2007 through 2024. The Cummins owner manual actually specifies a cleaning interval for the turbo actuator. Almost nobody follows it because almost nobody reads past the oil change page. The single best way to exercise those vanes is to use your exhaust brake. When you flip that exhaust brake on, the vanes slam shut to create back pressure. When you accelerate, they open back up. That cycling breaks soot loose before it hardens. I talked to a diesel tech in British Columbia who told me he sees stuck VGT turbos almost exclusively on trucks that are driven gently. The guys who tow heavy and use their exhaust brake on every downhill grade almost never have vane issues. So if you bought a Ram 3500 and you drive it like a Camry, you are actually accelerating the failure of a $2,000 turbocharger. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your turbo is work hard. Now those first 2 habits will cost you a turbo. This next one can cost you the entire engine. And the worst part is that Ram knows about it, has known about it for years, and has done absolutely nothing to fix it. Number 3, ignoring the grid heater bolt. This one makes me angry, and I'm going to tell you why. There is a single bolt inside the intake manifold, Of every 6.7 Cummins built from 2007 through 2024 that carries 200 amps of electrical current every time you start the truck in cold weather. Over time, that current causes the bolt to arc, deteriorate, and eventually break off. When it breaks, gravity pulls it straight down into cylinder 6, where it destroys the piston, bends the intake valves, and cracks the cylinder head. We are talking about a failure that costs $6,000 on the low end and up to $30,000 if you need a full engine replacement. Caused by a bolt that costs about $1. There was a Ram owner named Abe who had a 2017 3500 with about 100,000 miles. He knew about this issue. He had actually bought the fix, and he had a Banks Monster Ram intake sitting in his garage ready to install. But he decided to do one more hunting trip first. 5 miles into that trip, the engine started knocking. The bolt had broken, fallen into cylinder 6, and destroyed the piston and both intake valves. And the part that fires me up is that Cummins and Ram have known about this for over a decade and have never issued a recall. They have never redesigned the bolt. They sell brand new 2024 trucks with the exact same failure point. There is a simple wiggle test you can do in 30 seconds. Go under the hood, find the power terminal near the fuel rail on the intake, and wiggle it. If it moves, your bolt is on borrowed time. All right, so far we have covered what happens when you shut down wrong, drive too gently, and ignore a known design flaw. But this next one is sneaky because the damage comes from your daily routine. Number 4, short tripping your diesel. This one is for the Ram 2500 owner who bought a diesel truck because he wanted torque, but 90% of his driving is a 4-mile commute to the office and a run to the grocery store on Saturday. Your turbo hates this. Your diesel needs to get hot and stay hot to run the way it should. When you make a short trip, the engine oil never reaches the temperature it needs to burn off condensation and fuel contamination. The turbo never gets hot enough to keep its veins clean. The DPF never reaches regeneration temperature. Everything downstream starts choking on soot that was never burned off. I dug into forum posts from diesel mechanics who drain oil out of short-trip Cummins trucks, and multiple guys reported oil that smells like straight diesel fuel. That is fuel dilution. Your injectors spray extra fuel during regeneration cycles, and if the engine never gets hot enough to burn it off, it washes past the piston rings and into the oil pan. Now you have thinned out oil trying to protect turbo bearings that spin at 100,000 RPM. That is a recipe for bearing failure. If your Ram diesel lives on short trips, take it on the highway for at least 20 minutes once a week. Get it up to full operating temperature and let the DPF do a complete regeneration. Your turbo will thank you. Your oil will thank you. Your wallet will definitely thank you. If you have learned something so far, hit subscribe. I break down Ram truck problems like this every week, so subscribe for weekly videos. Now, short tripping is about not working your diesel enough, but this next habit is about working it too hard in the worst possible way. I see it constantly from guys who think they are being smart with their fuel economy while towing. Number 5, lugging under load. I had a customer bring in a Ram 3500 dually that he used to pull a 16,000-pound fifth wheel. Smart guy, knew his truck, kept up with maintenance. But he had this habit of trying to stay in the highest gear possible while towing because he thought it would save fuel. So he would be climbing a grade at 1,400 revolutions per minute with his foot on the floor and the exhaust gas temperature gauge climbing into dangerous territory. What he did not realize is that at low revolutions per minute under heavy load, the variable geometry turbo vanes are slammed almost completely closed, trying to build boost from a trickle of exhaust gas. The turbo is working at maximum effort with minimum airflow. Exhaust gas temperatures skyrocket past 1200 degrees. The turbo bearings are getting cooked, and the vane mechanism is getting forced against extreme back pressure, which accelerates wear on the unison ring. I had a customer crack an exhaust manifold doing exactly this on a mountain pass in Colorado. Full throttle under 1700 revolutions per minute with a heavy trailer is one of the most destructive things you can do to a Cummins variable geometry turbo. That is exactly why tow haul mode exists. It holds lower gears, keeps the revolutions per minute up, and lets the turbo operate in a range where it has enough airflow to stay cool and enough exhaust energy to build boost without strangling itself. If you are towing and you can feel the engine lugging, you are in too high a gear and you need to drop down. No excuses. Your fuel economy might take a small hit, but you will not be looking at a $2,000 turbo replacement at 120,000 miles. So lugging is about pushing the turbo too hard under load. But there is a flip side to that coin, and it is a habit that a huge chunk of diesel owners swear by. They think they are being good to their engine, but they are dead wrong, and this one is going to start some arguments in the comments. Number 6, excessive idling. Old school diesel guys are going to fight me on this one, and I am ready for it. The 20-minute warm-up is not helping your truck. In fact, it's hurting it. When a diesel engine idles, combustion temperatures stay too low for a complete fuel burn. Soot builds up everywhere. It coats the exhaust gas recirculation valve. It loads up the diesel particulate filter. It packs onto the turbo vanes, and it contaminates the oil. One source I found estimates that 1 hour of idling puts roughly the same wear on an engine as driving 25 miles. When you drive, the engine is hot enough to burn clean. When you idle, it is not. I have seen the inside of turbo housings from trucks that spent most of their life idling on job sites. The vanes were caked in carbon so thick you could scrape it off with your fingernail. Those turbos were not old or high mileage. They were just suffocated by soot from thousands of hours of low temperature idling. The right way to do it is dead simple. Start the truck, wait 30 to 45 seconds for oil pressure to build, drive gently until the temperature gauge comes up. That is it. Your Cummins does not need to sit in the driveway rumbling for 15 minutes. Save extended idling for actual emergencies, or if you are running power takeoff equipment and need high idle mode. Everything we have talked about so far involves how you drive or how you shut down. But this last one is the silent killer because it happens between drives, sitting right there on the receipt from your last oil change. And it might be the easiest one on this list to fix. Number 7, running the wrong oil or stretching intervals. This is the one where people cut corners and think nobody will notice. Your turbo notices. The oil that lubricates your turbo bearings is the only thing standing between a 100,000 RPM shaft and catastrophic metal-on-metal contact. If that oil is broken down, contaminated, or the wrong viscosity, you are running on borrowed time. I worked on a Ram 2500 where the owner was running a conventional 15W40 and changing it every 10,000 miles because that is what he did on his old gas truck. The turbo failed at 91,000 miles. When we pulled it apart, the bearing housing was packed with coked oil deposits. The shaft had visible scoring. That turbo did not wear out. It was starved of proper lubrication. A quality full synthetic diesel oil at the correct viscosity, changed at 5,000 mile intervals or less if you are towing heavy, is the cheapest insurance you can buy for your turbo. We are talking about the difference between a turbo that lasts 200,000 miles and one that fails before 100,000 miles. And this is the part that should scare you. When your turbo grenades on a Cummins, the shrapnel can go downstream into the engine or upstream into the intercooler piping. A $5 oil change savings can turn into a 5-figure repair bill real fast. Look, the 6.7 Cummins is one of the best diesel engines ever put in a pickup truck. I will defend that all day. But the variable geometry turbo system is its weak link, and it has been for 17 model years. Cummins has never fully solved the vane sticking, the actuator failures, or the grid heater bolt problem. That means it is on you, the owner, to protect it with the right habits. I made a video on 11 hidden features in your modern Ram that dealers will never tell you about. One of those features can actually protect your turbo, and I guarantee you have never used it. That video is on screen right now.